Welcome to this third part of the three-part series of the Elevated Entrepreneur. And in part three, I'm going to be going deep on mindset and communication. Now, this is obviously one of my most favorite topics. And it's where I've done a lot of work. It's where I do a lot of teaching, a lot of coaching, a lot of mentoring. And it's definitely been an area that has made a huge impact on my life. Now, in the last episode, if you've been following along on the Elevated Entrepreneur series, if not, go back to the last couple of episodes where I talk about business and spirituality and purpose. In the last episode, I went deep in the spiritual and purpose element of the Elevated Entrepreneur, because when you're called to make a difference in this world, like I know you have been, if you are listening to this, you're here for a much bigger purpose and to serve the world on the scale that you want to. You really need to know how, you really need to know that you are connected to something that is much greater, right, than you've ever probably imagined, because it's very hard to create a massive impact and help evolve humanity if you're contracted in this kind of, I'm nobody, I'm not good enough, all that kind of stuff. So, having that spiritual practice and connection really helps you expand and connect in with your bigger purpose. And in the episode before that, in the first episode, I went into the importance of business skills and how they play a part in your personal and spiritual development as well, and how business serves as a vehicle to leverage the work that you're here to do. So in this episode, like I said, I'm going to be talking about the mindset and communication element of the Elevated Entrepreneur. And when I talk about mindset and communication, what I'm really talking about here is you having the skills and understanding to be in charge of what you're creating in your life, in your business. Okay, so it comes down to knowing how to train your mind to be effective and focus on what it is that you want to create. Right? It's also about knowing how to process old unresolved negative emotions and triggers and limited thinking that stands in the way of your development, and ultimately then be able to help other people do that as well, because that's very valuable. That's a hugely valuable skill. I'm also talking about how you know how to communicate with yourself and others in a way that you know exactly what you are communicating at any given time. Right? So you're not just uttering random words and being unaware of the message that you're giving, both at the verbal and the non-verbal level. Because this is the thing. Often people are so unaware of their language and what it's conveying. Right? What it's conveying could be what you're conveying in your tonality, the words that you use, the audio that you put the words in, your non-verbal, your body language, eye contact. All of these things come into this mindset and communication. And without mastering your mindset and communication skills, you will be limited in your personal growth. You'll be limited in your business growth, and you'll also be limited in your spiritual growth. Okay, because it's very hard to have a full connection to your spirituality if your conscious mind and unconscious mind is limited with old rubbish. Okay, if you can't focus on what you want, if you can't bring that spiritual aspect of yourself into your human reality. Okay, so the extent of which you master your mindset and communication skills is the extent of which you have mastery of your life and the influence that you have with other people. Okay, and whether you're in business or not, every relationship you have, they're in some form, in some way, you're going to want to influence people. Okay, whether that's to listen to you, to help you, for you to get along in the world. And so I'm going to go through a model with you to make this element of mindset and communication really easy to understand. Having worked in the coaching industry for the past 8 years or so, and all the extensive study that I've done and all the coaching I've done and all the teaching and mentoring that I've done in this space, what I've realized is that people need a very simple, easy to follow model that makes it really easy for them to understand what you need to have conscious awareness of when it comes to mastering your mindset and communication. And as I mentioned before, it's really about training your mind. So not just learning some techniques. Anyone can read about, learn some techniques, but it's actually implementing it in a way that you train yourself. Okay, it's like when people say to me, does NLP work? I say 100% of the time for people who want to make it work, right? Is it skills that you use for life? 100% if you if you train yourself to use them for life. 100%. It always comes back to the responsibility that you have and the effort that you put in making these things work for you, in getting awareness, in changing your behaviors. And because when you have these skills, you need to be applying them on a daily basis and reprogramming yourself to match the identity, right, that you need, so that your identity matches what it is that you want to create in your life and business. And, because what people do, what I see is the biggest mistake is people say, okay, I'm just going to learn some skills that's going to make my business grow, or I'm going to help more people, but they try to do it from the same identity. And it's very hard. So you need to grow and evolve and develop the neurology by daily conditioning yourself, having understanding of how to use your mind, and continuously retraining yourself so that you become the person that has, a bigger business, helping more people, having a greater impact on the world. Your identity has to match that reality. So the model that I created breaks this down. What's really needed in this space, this model will break this down. And you may have heard me talk about this model before, but as with everything, every explanation is a once-off performance, and it grows and it evolves over time. So stay with me, as I'm sure that listening to this will give you some ahas that will advance you on the next steps of self-mastery. And when you apply it to your current situation, you'll find that it hits different than maybe last time you've heard it, if you've heard this before. And of course, the model that I'm talking about is the focus model. Now, focus on its own is a hugely powerful word. When it comes to mindset and communication, it really comes down to, where are you holding your focus? What are you focusing on at any given moment? And if you could train yourself to focus on what you want 100% of the time, easily 99% of your problems would disappear, right? Because this is the thing about training our mind, right? Is that your mind is a very powerful tool that is creating your reality. Okay, so as within, so without. Okay, what's inside is outside, what's outside is inside. And so when you're focusing on things that you don't want and you don't like and everything else, you're going to see more of that on your outside world. So focusing on what you want and training your mind to focus on that. And when I say focus, I mean focusing on your thoughts, your feelings, the pictures that you create in your mind, that everything becomes focused on what it is that you want. Okay, so it's a very powerful word on its own, but focus is also an acronym for this model. And so I want to break this down for you. So F in focus stands for frames of thinking. And this is the foundations of thinking that we must have for anything else to work, consistently. And some of those really important frames are things like cause and effect, which is essentially about you taking responsibility for everything, right? You're taking responsibility for everything. Now, sometimes when we talk about taking responsibility, people go, oh no, I don't want to take responsibility for everything. Why do I have to be in charge of everything? Well, guess what? If you don't take responsibility and you hand it over to someone else, don't expect someone else to have your best interests at heart. It was very interesting, actually. I was listening to another podcast just the other day by The Art of Charm. And it's a couple of guys, and they were talking about high value tools. And essentially they said low value people avoid responsibility. Okay, low value people avoid responsibility and look to point the finger at blame at other people for them not having what they want. High value people love taking responsibility because it puts them in a powerful position where they're in control of what goes on in their reality. Okay, so taking responsibility is something that we have to take on in a very empowering way. It's not about being blamed for things. It means that you're the one, if anything's going to change, you're the one who's going to make it change. You're going to change how you think, how you feel, how you act, how you speak, the results that you get, right? You take responsibility for making things work. Okay, you take responsibility for creating change. You don't sit there going, oh, if someone just come along, or if I just won the lotto, right, that everything would be different. No, you take responsibility. Okay, so that's a really important frame for thinking. And as well as this frame of thinking, I touched on this before, but it's knowing that what is going on in your world around you is your projection. Okay, it's your projection. It's what you're creating through what you're thinking about, what you're talking about, the limiting beliefs that you have, anything there that you are unaware of, that you're unconscious of, that if there is some necessity for you to change, you'll project it out onto the world around you. And the extent of which you feel negative emotion about those projections is the extent of which you're unaware of those projections that are behaviors that you're capable of within yourself. Okay, it might not be the same context. Okay, so if, for example, if you're saying that people keep crossing your boundaries, guess what? The only way that people keep crossing your boundaries is because you're crossing your boundaries. Okay, people can't keep crossing your boundaries. They might cross your boundaries once, and then you communicate to them what your boundaries are. If they keep crossing them, it's because you're not enforcing them. Okay, so enforcing boundaries means you express what is okay with you and what's not. You let them know what will be the consequences if they keep doing so, and then you follow through. So that may be that you don't spend time with them, that you don't talk to them on the phone, that you don't hang out in the same place as them, that you do something else to enforce what you're saying is your boundary. Okay, now this can be very challenging, especially when it's boundaries around family and there's all kinds of limiting thinking about, what it is that you need to do according to, society, culture, family, history, whatever it might be. But this is the thing, again, it comes back to you taking responsibility for your reality, okay, for your outcomes in life. And knowing that it's okay for you to decide that what's okay for you doesn't have to be okay for other people. I'm certainly not talking about you doing anything to other people that crosses their boundaries, but you can hold your boundaries, because here's the thing you have to know is that the only people who get upset about you enforcing boundaries are people who are taking advantage of you not having them. Okay, they're not worried about how you feel. They're only worried about themselves. So why do you need to keep letting them cross your boundaries in fear of upsetting them when they don't care that what they're doing is upsetting you? Okay, it doesn't make sense. So we have to get into all these frames of thinking. Like, without these frames of taking responsibility for what's going on, being aware of our own projections, enforcing our boundaries, there's a whole bunch. There's about 9 different frames and 14 presuppositions that I teach when I go through all of this. But this is the basis of everything. Okay, this is the basis of everything that we need. And you can't create any change. You can't create any lasting change without these frames of thinking, without the foundations of thinking. Okay, so that's F in focus. Now, O in focus stands for optimal language. And optimal language is what is from the perspective of that, or the premise that your words don't describe your reality, they create your reality. Okay, so whatever you speak, whether it's to yourself or to other people, is you speaking into existence your reality. So speak only what you want into existence. Okay, and now what's important about language is that language, and especially English language, it's very complex. It's very complex. And the extent of what you learnt about language at school is unlikely to be anywhere near comprehensive enough for you to fully understand what you're creating in your reality with your language. And this is a thing about NLP that I'm really passionate about, because L in NLP is linguistics, about language, and it's about deeply understanding language so that you know exactly what kind of message your language is when you're speaking, that you're not just uttering random words and thinking that it's meaning something to other people the same as it means to you. Right? Your language and the choice of language, like this is exactly how, by understanding language at a very deep level, is exactly how I get incredible results with my clients, because I can hear exactly what their limitations are in their mind by the words that they use, by how they describe their reality. Okay, because this is the power of language, right? Your words, you're speaking into existence, your reality. And with our words, we can, we can have possibility, necessity. We can influence time with our language. We can be very detailed with our language. We can be very abstract. We can use our language in a way that's agreeable to other people, that interrupts other people. We can be using language in a way that even with our tonality, it can give away our insecurities. There's so much to our language that without understanding it, how can you ever effectively communicate in a way that you're going to create your reality? Your language is so important. It's like the number one thing. And I always say, to my students, because when they come into NLP practitioner training, they get a bunch of amazing techniques, and a lot of them have got scripts and things to follow, so that it's a very easy process to know how to make these things work. But the one I always say that takes the most practice, but is the most worth it, is learning the language. Understanding the language, how to hear what's presupposed in language, how to know what question to ask to get to the deep root cause of what's going on, how to be able to get out of the story that people are telling you and listen to the structure. And when I say structure, I mean, what are the limiting beliefs? What are the emotions? What are the strategies? What must that person be doing in their mind to be coming out with this sentence, with these words, having this problem? When you understand language, you can drill down very, very quickly and make huge changes for people, right? So optimal language, understanding language is really like magic. It's really like magic. Okay, and you might have heard me say before that it's no coincidence that we spell words. Okay, words are magic. It's what we're creating reality with. And most people have got a magic wand of language that they're flicking about all over the place and have got no idea what they're casting. Okay, so understanding language is very, very important. Now, the C in focus stands for create change. Okay, you need to know how to create changes within yourself in changing your state. Okay, so that if you're in an unresourceful state, okay, if you're feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, confused, sad, depressed, how do you get out of that? You need to know how to create changes so you can be in a resourceful state. Okay, a lot of people don't know how to. And a lot of people, the thing is with emotions in the body are like chemical reactions, right? So if people are stuck in, have been in a lower type of a negative emotion for a long time, they can get addicted to the chemical of those emotions, and it becomes familiar. So we need to know, how do I create change and reprogram myself to seek a different chemical reaction in my body, a more resourceful state, an energizing state. Okay, we also need to know how to create change in our beliefs. If you've got old limiting beliefs, they're going to hold you back forever and a day. You need to know, how do I work with my mind so I get rid of those limiting beliefs from the root? Okay, because the thing that most people don't know is that all beliefs stem from a decision. Okay, so at some point in time, something's happened, someone said something, and you decide that it means something, and you carry a belief about that from there. Okay, so you need to know, how do I find these decision points and change them so that I can create a different belief? You need to know how to create changes in the pictures in your mind. So much of your behavior is linked to the pictures that you create in your mind. How big those pictures are, how bright those pictures are, how far away they are on your internal screen has a lot to do with your motivation, your triggers. Okay, all kinds of your behavior is linked to the pictures in your mind. So you need to know how to work with the pictures in your mind to change them, and change them in a way that is effective of not just stopping you from doing what you don't want or getting rid of triggers, but how do you use these pictures to amplify how you want to create your reality? It's a very important part of that. You need to know how to change your behaviors. Okay, how many people do you know that have got behaviors that aren't serving them, but they just seem to do them on automatic and can't change it? You need to know how to change that, right? You need to know how to change your strategies. Do you know you've got strategies for every single thing that you do? You've got strategies for how you get in relationships. You've got strategies for how you make friends. You've got strategies for how you do business. You've got strategies for how you do health, right? How you buy things, everything you do has a strategy. And if you've got a strategy that's not working, then, it's working, but it's giving you a result that you don't want, you have to know how to understand how to change those strategies, okay? And every strategy is a combination of pictures that you make in your mind, things that you say to yourself, feelings that you have, pictures that you see. These are what our strategies are made up of. So when we know how to change these things, we can change the strategies, okay, the programs that we run in our mind, so that we can get different outcomes. We can know how to install strategies and behaviors to get the outcomes that we want. Okay, really important that we know how to create change. Then you, in the focus model, you is for the unconscious mind. You need to learn how to communicate with your unconscious mind. Okay, because the unconscious mind is the goal getter. Okay, we think about the conscious mind being the goal setter. So consciously you say, this is what I want, this is what I know to be true, everything else. But it's your unconscious mind that drives your behavior. It's your unconscious mind that determines whether you get the goals or not. Okay, so at the unconscious level is where all our memories are stored. It's where all of our negative emotions are trapped. Okay, those limiting beliefs are values, right? What's going on in our health has got to do with what's going on in our unconscious mind. The unconscious mind rules the body. Okay, so we need to be able to work with the unconscious mind. And this is like things like hypnosis is so powerful because it bypasses your logic mind, which you need to do if you want to create change at the unconscious level, right? So hypnosis bypasses the conscious mind, so you can do work at the unconscious level. Timeline therapy allows you to work consciously with the unconscious mind. That's why these tools are so powerful. Okay, so you have to be able to work with the unconscious mind. Okay, if you're just fully, no, I'm just logic, I'm just going to reason everything, I'm just going to be rational, you might get so far, but there will still be where you'll always feel like, feels like there's something I can't quite get. There's a level of satisfaction that I just can't quite achieve, because you need to be able to work with the unconscious mind. Okay, so the S in the focus model is for setting your sights. Okay, this is so important. Sometimes when I've worked with people, that it's like people get so focused on the past and clearing up the past that they forget that they're not going that way. Yes, you've got to work on the past and clear things from the past, but only for the purpose of getting you to where you want to go in the future. Okay, so you've got to know how to set your sights. You've got to know how to create smart goals, but creating smart goals in a way that you engage your unconscious mind. Okay, you've got to know where you're going. You've got to be able to focus on what you want, right? So focusing on what you want, to do that, you have to set your sights on what it is that you want to start with, right? So you've always got to have this focus of where are you going? So if you don't know where you're going, how will you know when you've got there? Right? If you don't know where you're going, you're just going to float around like a jellyfish, like floating around on the currents out at sea, and then just wash up wherever you wash up and then go, how the hell did I end up here? This isn't what I want, right? So you have to know, you have to set your sights. What is it that I want? Where am I headed? And where you're headed, this is the thing. This is the thing that I want you to know, right? So many people are like, yeah, I want to change all this stuff and clear out my past and whatever else. But for what purpose? For what purpose? You can do the work that you want on yourself. Okay, let go of that stuff for the past, but then what? What is that going to allow you to do? And so this is the key thing. This is why setting your sights is so important, because when you set your sights on what it is that you want to achieve, it will give you a direct connection to what you need to work on to clear out so that you can get there. It's a very, very effective way of doing the work. Okay, so that's the focus model. And it's, like I said, this is the mindset and communication. You need to have these skills for yourself, for your personal growth. Okay, you need these skills for your business growth. You need these skills to be able to help people solve problems. So whether you're a coach, you're a practitioner, you're a therapist, any type of business owner or leader, anytime you're interacting with other people, right? You're doing sales, have any kind of relationship with other people, with your partner, with your children, with your friends, with your extended family, with people in your community, your sporting groups, you need to have these skills. Okay, because without these skills, you will just have this random stuff going on, and most likely it'll be a lot of stuff that you don't want. Okay, so it's really important that you have these skills. And not only is it important to have these skills for creating what you want, but this comes back to the spirituality side of it as well. So yes, we need it for our personal growth, right? We also need it for business so that we can do better in business, because your business isn't going to outgrow your personal growth. Okay, you need to be able to work on your mindset. Definitely 100% when you're in business, it's one of the best things to bring up any of your unresolved stuff. So you need to have these mindset and communication skills to work on that. Okay, but here's the thing that most people don't realize is that this is paramount if you want to have a spiritual practice. If you want to connect with your spirituality and your purpose, you have to have the mindset and communication skills. You have to know how to train your mind. Okay, because it's all great being connected to your spirituality, but you're not doing spirituality out there. You're doing spirituality here in the human form, okay, in the physical world. And so you're going to bring the energy from and the messages and the connection from your spirituality down through your unconscious mind. You'd want it to be nice and clear. You'd want to be training your mind enough to know what to do with that connection that you have from your higher conscious mind. Because otherwise, people hallucinate all kinds of things and call it spirituality. Okay, people get very misguided. They filter all of the stuff they get from spirituality through the lenses of their unresolved stuff, and it limits you, right? It limits you. So mindset, communication skills, essential. And this is the third part of the Elevated Entrepreneur series and how these things fit together. So my question for you this week is, where do you recognize that you need to improve your mindset and communication? Okay, now the easy way for you to get awareness of this is to work out what area of your life isn't how you want it to be, and start from there and getting awareness about how you are thinking and speaking about that area of your life. Okay, so if you've got problems with money, start thinking about, how am I thinking about money? How am I speaking about money? What am I speaking into reality. Now you might say, but I'm not speaking to reality. It is my reality and I'm just speaking about it. You, my friend, you need to change how you're thinking about it and how you're feeling about it and how you're thinking about it. You need to train your mind. This is the whole thing. You need to train your mind to be aligned with what you want to create rather than what you think is. Same with relationships. Okay, if you're having problems in your relationship or you don't have a relationship, whatever that is, tune in to how am I thinking about this and speaking about it. If it's your health, that isn't where you want it to be. Tune in. What are you thinking about your health? How are you speaking about your health? Okay, whatever area of your life, tune in about it. See how you're creating it. And of course, as always, if you need help, reach out to me. Have an amazing week.